Accountability, love, confidence. We got everything today, baby. On to San Francisco. A lot going on with the Texans, but one key piece is missing. Let's go.
Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too plugged in.
Next man up. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans digital content. We are officially on to San Francisco, and I am so excited for this game. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the video, the best sports app in the game. We'll have some higher lower soon. They haven't dropped. The reason I haven't put out any higher lowers yet, but I have been using it as my score app, not just for the NFL, but for the NBA. It's the best score app in the game right now. I promise you that. It's the most fun daily fantasy, but they haven't put up the receiving numbers for the Texans and the 49ers yet. And I was at practice today, and it makes sense why they have not. By the way, if you want to get involved in Sleeper, $20 entry, no deposit required. If you want to get in the higher lower game, you can also get 100% match up to $100. All you got to do is use that lovely promo code Locker. So today at practice, no Nico Collins, no Christian Kirk, and the Texans are shorthanded at receivers. So it makes sense that Christian Kirk's not going because we've kind of gotten used to that. And I don't know where the Texans go. Like, I think naturally you want the Texans to use their young rookie wide receivers, the ones we've been calling for even before these injuries happened. Wanted to see a little bit more of them. And then suddenly CJ Stroud and Higgins can't get on the same page. I asked Jaden Higgins about that. We'll hear that. And Braxton Berrios plays more in the last game than Jaylen Noel. Can't really make sense of that. Let's hear from Jaylen Noel, though, about that. Let's hear from Jaden Higgins. We'll do that in a sec, but let's hear what CJ Stroud also had to say today. CJ Stroud had his media availability coming off a not so great performance. He does still feel confident. We'll hear that in a sec, but let's hear what he has to say about these rooks.
Really what they've been doing, continue to show up and, run great routes like they've been doing. I think whatever they're doing in practice, which has been really good, is, get it done in the game. So just taking the practice to the game, the meetings to the practice, and I think that'll be the key recipe for them to have success on Sunday. But yeah, I'm in full faith with them, and I think they're ready, and I'm excited to see them roll.
I heard DeMeco say it. I heard CJ Stroud say it. They just got to continue to do what they've been doing. They haven't been playing. We want to see them play a little bit more. We want to see them play. And if you can't tell, I'm really wired up for this game. I love when traditional squads come to town. I mentioned the Steelers, Packers, the 49ers. It just hits a little bit different. You can see their fans in the stands. It's exciting. There's a lot of history with organizations like that. And there's also a lot of history between DeMeco and this San Francisco 49ers staff. DeMeco yesterday, he had perhaps the worst press conference I think that a Texans head coach has had in a long time. I asked him today about Robert Salah, and he went off for 2.5 minutes about everything that San Francisco means to him and meant to him. We'll hear that in a second, though. First, I want to remind you to join myself and Cody Stoots Halloween night at Spanky's Homemade Pizza. I might go there this weekend to watch some football. Don't threaten me with a good time. I might go there to watch some football because it's very underrated to do so. The food, absolutely delicious. Homemade dough, homemade sauces, awesome drinks, awesome prices, underrated place to watch games, which I might just have to do this weekend. Let's hear from Jaylen Noel. Can the Iowa State duo step up? We caught up with Jaylen Noel today during practice. Here's what he had to say. And I asked him, my question to him, and this is a media scrum, my question to him was quite simple. Are you confident that you can play the majority of the snaps? Here's what he had to say.
Preparing like the number one guy mentally. So just continue my preparation, having full confidence in myself, full confidence in my teammates that we'll be able to go out there and be successful.
To know that you could be displayed more, does it make it exciting though?
Every week's exciting for me, going with the same mindset, a mindset to go in there and have an impact in a positive way for the team and go dominate.
How would you compare where you are with your comfort level from, say, week 1 to now, just knowing what's going on, prepared to make plays?
Yeah, I would say it's a big difference from week 1 to now. Like you said, just kind of settling in and understanding how to or what my process is each week, and then going into the game, knowing what to expect, the speed of the game, and
Jaylen, DeMeco was praising you yesterday, talking about your performance on Monday night. What did you see when you watched the tape and kind of jumped out about what you did with your opportunities?
Yeah, I feel like I made some good plays, and but for me, I'm always looking what I can get better at. And there was a few things on the tape I felt like I could get better at personally, and just continuing to work on my route execution, hand combat at the line of scrimmage, those things I'm looking at. But yeah, it's always good to have good plays, but I'm always looking at what I can get better at.
You feel prepared if you have to play large chunk of the offensive snaps, that you're ready to do that?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I prepare the same each week, like I am going to be that number one guy or whatever they want me to do. So I'll definitely be prepared and be ready to roll on Sunday.
Were you surprised the team went to Braxton for punt return?
No. Brax is been a veteran in this league. He's done it at a very high level in this league.
Come on.
I'm pretty sure there's been years he's led the league in punt return average. And that's a guy that's been working very hard to come off an ACL injury and then have his hamstring injury at the beginning of the year. To be able to work to that point and get that opportunity, he definitely deserves that opportunity. And whatever coach wants, whoever he wants back there, that I agree with. And I have full faith in the coaching staff, and then I also have full faith in Braxton. He does a great job back there.
DeMeco mentioned that helping out the protection and alleviating some of the pressure can be done with some of the quick passing, some of the hot route stuff. Have you guys noticed some mistakes or some disconnect on when and how to execute some of that quick passing stuff?
Yeah, just being on the same page. That's the biggest thing at the end of the day, and our precision has to be on point, especially in the quick game. CJ is going to have to go through his reads quick, so the receiver's got to be at the right spot at the right time. And I feel like there's been moments we've been good at it and moments we haven't been good at it. So just coming together and making sure that we're good when it comes time Sunday, and we'll be fine.
Just adding to that, what's kind of the process you and CJ have gone through to build up an understanding? Hey, I'm going to be here. I know you're going to want me. Take us through that just a little bit.
Yeah. CJ just really being the leader he is, grabbing the receivers or any guy after our initial meetings and sitting down and watching that film, saying this is the look we're getting here. This is what I expect from you. If this happens, I want you here, or if this happens, I want you there. So just that type of communication, he's done a great job at, honestly, and he'll continue to do that. So really just putting that extra time and the extra film study with him to be where you're at the right time.
All right, there you go. So Jaden Higgins, you hear him kind of giving him a hard time. They're right by each other. And we talked to Higgins, man. What a confident dude he is. We'll hear from him in a second. I don't know if I'm asking the right question down here, because I'm asking, can the Iowa State duo step up? My question is, will they be allowed to? Like, maybe this means that they play Braxton Berrios even more. Maybe this is more of an excuse for Braxton Berrios. Like, how far does the unwillingness and the hesitation to play rookies go? Like, how far does it go? If Nico Collins is out, does that mean that we just see a heavy dose of Xavier Hutchinson and Braxton Berrios? Is that where we're going? Like, how far are we taking this thing? Because I think regardless of whether Nico's out there or not, these guys deserve to play more. I think most people would agree with that have watched the squad. But how far does it go? Do we see the guys now or not? Let's go to the comments here on the locker room. Shout out to everyone. Be sure to subscribe, like, ride along. Join us at Spanky's on the 31st. Danny on the chat. You ain't never hate.
Swarm
Says CJ's whole vibe got me depressed, man. Just seeing his face and hearing talk makes me want to check into rehab, and I'm not even addicted to anything or depressed. SMH. Body language is terrible. The biggest casual observers in the world that are in my life, they ask me, hey, what's up with CJ? Does he hate it there? What's the deal? Like, is his confidence shot? What's going on? I even heard it today when I was listening to Sam and Steve on Check the Mic. I mean, these are guys that stayed up and watched the game, and they were talking about perhaps that happening, but have no fear, because apparently a confident CJ Stroud is here. If you don't believe me, let's hear from the man himself. Here is CJ Stroud insisting that he is a very confident guy. As a matter of fact, he's more confident than he's ever been.
Monday for me, of course, wasn't my best outing. I don't think I played well, but to me, like, it really starts with preparation. I thought I prepared as best as I could for that game, and sometimes you go out there and lay an egg, but my confidence is high as ever. I have the most confidence not only in my team but in myself, and I'm just going to continue to show up every game. And, I think as time goes on, you start clicking more and more and more. You can see when we were playing against Tennessee and Baltimore and then had the bye, came out, we had a really good week of practice, but sometimes that just happens. And so I think the focus for me is to stay confident in my process and my preparation and myself, So I'm going to continue to do that, and I'm going to continue to get better in areas I need to get better in. But, yeah, there's things schematically as well, or footwork and different things like that I can always get better in as well.
So he insists that his confidence is as high as it's been, and okay. I mean, it doesn't look that way in games. It appears that there may be a blueprint to stopping CJ Stroud. You listen to all his press conferences. I brought this up. I'm going to hammer this home because I think this is important. But you constantly hear about the too high shells, and you can drink every time I say that from this point on. But I think it's relevant because the offense is making the same mistakes. And I got to wonder, like with DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud and the decisions that are going to have to be made in the next couple of years, I just got to wonder, like, does the fact that DeMeco Ryans is watching with different offensive linemen, a different offensive coordinator, the fact that he's watching this go the way that it is, like, does he have like any regret for maybe turning on his boy Bobby Slowick? I mean, you hear the way that he talks about the offensive system, the Kubiak system and all that. I just got to wonder, okay, Bobby Slowick was his friend. They were friends. And DeMeco's a pretty loyal guy. Like, the only player that I've really heard him throw under the bus, and in fairness, he will talk a little bit more harshly about CJ Stroud than a lot of coaches do their quarterback, but he's thrown Fairbairn under the bus before. But I just got to wonder if he watches this and says, okay, well, the system was supposed to change all these things. It's still here. What's the constant? Like, maybe you can say the quarterback coach. Maybe you can say the quarterback. I don't know. But I just do wonder, like, when DeMeco's having to make those decisions, like, does he want to, I mean, really put his football life on the line for CJ Stroud? Like, you're going to hear from DeMeco in a sec, and you're going to hear how much it means to him to be a head coach. If DeMeco got fired from the Texans, I think there's a chance that he would get another head coaching job. But if the CJ Stroud thing flops and he throws it and he throws all his chips on the table with it, does he feel comfortable doing that? Now, it's early, but I just wonder, like, as you see this kind of going on, and then you listen to them talk, and one is saying it's pre-snap, the other one's saying it's post-snap. They just don't seem to be vibing. It's not an overwhelmingly cohesive sounding duo by any stretch of the imagination. And I don't know how this is going to end and how this is going to go. Back on the chat, shout out to HDAV Traveler up out in Austin. You ain't never Swarm. The man, the myth, the legend. Space City Baller says Jaylen Noel has a Mon-Ra St. Brown build. Yeah, he actually benched more than St. Brown at the combine. He had the top 5 vertical. Yeah, Jaylen Noel's a baller. He should be making plays, and I think he's going to be a big part of this thing for a while. We're going to look back at this and say what took so long, I think. Paige says, I can't decide between Woody Marks or Jaylen Noel to replace Nico in flex and fantasy. I would probably go with Woody Marks. I think Jaylen Noel is, I mean, he's got potential to make some big plays, but we really haven't seen it consistently. I'm not the greatest fantasy player. I actually have both of those guys. And I'm probably going with Woody Marks just to be safe, because I don't trust this coaching staff. Like they literally, we're 2 days removed from them playing Braxton Berrios more than Jaylen Noel. Now, he did make some plays that might make them think a little bit, but I wouldn't feel comfortable going all in on Noel given that. Now, Woody Marks thing, we don't need to get people started on that. Sean says, at least we have SNL locker room. In Houston football, we may suck, but they keep us entertained more than the team. Yeah, we're in this together. No doubt. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Jaylen Noel. Let's hear from Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins is a confident fella. Jaden Higgins is a very confident fella. I didn't know he was this confident. I actually asked him, because we brought it up. There have been a lot of uncatchable balls, it appears, that CJ Stroud has thrown you. Can y'all get on the same page? Here's the media scrum. Couple minutes with Jaden Higgins, and he's going to end this showing you just how confident he is.
Something DeMeco has mentioned that he's pointed out to you guys. We'll do what we're coached. We have success. We kind of get off that, man. What's the key to kind of getting over that hump and doing that a little bit more consistently?
Just like you said, when we, do what we do in practice, we're very successful. I think the biggest thing is just focusing on the little details, making sure we're locked in practice, whether it's we're getting the rep or someone else is getting the rep, knowing that it's going to come in game time, so we got to be ready for it.
Jaden, from your confidence standpoint, with roles increasing in recent weeks, how do you feel about your game and kind of what you can do in this offense?
Yeah, for me, I always feel good. I always feel like I can go out there and make a play, whenever my number is called. So, yeah, that's where I stand.
Okay.
How about you and CJ getting on the same page? Do you feel like it's kind of still a work in progress? Seems like there's a couple times where maybe you win the route and it's not where you need it to be to make a play.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing, comes down to, just like he said, just the little details, making sure we're executing in the moment when the play comes. And I know CJ's going to give me a good ball more times than not. So for me, it's just making sure I'm winning and going out there and making the play.
Their defense, what are some of the challenges that you see them presenting?
Yeah, I would say fast, athletic, a hard-hitting defense, and also very smart as well.
Does it make it any beneficial knowing that the system came from a little bit of what DeMeco does and what you guys see during practice?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely makes it a little bit beneficial because, of course, we're kind of going against the same type of front and maybe a little bit of how the players like to play. So it's a little bit of familiarity.
I asked Jaylen the same question, man. Can you compare for me where you are now with being ready to make plays in games with where you were maybe in week one?
Yeah.
When it all started.
For me, I feel like I'm always going to go out there and make a play. And whether I was in Little League, high school, middle school, I feel like I'm always ready to go out there and make a play.
That's awesome.
All right, there you go. A lot of confidence there from that young man. I'll say that he's got a heck of a lot of confidence there. So we'll see how it goes down with Higgins, but he appears to be confident, feeling himself and ready to go. So can either one of these guys step up? Can CJ Stroud make the throw catches? I still wonder. I don't know how bad the soft tissue thing is with Christian Kirk. Maybe there's an outside chance that tomorrow we go to practice and
Captain Kirk has arrived. I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
But I wouldn't hold my breath on it. But Nico Collins, concussion protocol, we usually have a pretty good idea about where that goes and what direction that heads. So I wouldn't necessarily bet on that, but maybe we do see Christian Kirk tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, your guess is as good as mine when it comes to Christian Kirk. I just don't know. I don't know what the deal is with him. I really don't. I do know what the deal is, though, with TDECU. TDECU is the best. They're the absolute best. They are an absolute gem in this town. They're a sponsor of Reaction Monday with SNL, also a sponsor of SNL, the Locker Room, and Houston Football. And they have the lovely TDECU Texans debit card, which you can get at tdecu.org/Texans. 15% off Texans gear with the TDECU Texans debit card. Maybe this is why CJ is so happy, because he's also a partner of TDECU. So maybe that's why he's so happy, because he knows he gets free gear. Let's be honest, but you can get 15% off, not free gear like CJ, and you can also take advantage of all the other things TDECU has got going on. So go to tdcu.org/Texans. They got you covered. The official credit union of SNL, CJ Stroud, the Cougs football stadium, and hopefully you become a teammate of them as well. We actually had some viewers say that they took advantage of that nice, fresh debit card. And Chase brings it up. Yeah, you can get 15% off your Jared Wayne jersey. There's a lot of people, a lot of cynical folks around here that think that the Texans are now going to elevate Jared Wayne because they're so scared to play rookies. That's the theory going on around here. And I want to laugh at it and dismiss it, but after Sunday, after they did what they did, where Laken Tomlinson was suddenly back in the guard rotation and Braxton Berrios was playing more than Jaylen Noel, I don't even know if I'm going to be – I can't even laugh at this. Speaking of which, Laken Tomlinson, the rotation. DeMeco Ryan says he thinks both of these guys are better when they're rotating. Laken Tomlinson was asked by Cody Stoots, and then Will Kunkel jumped in about this guard rotation. Got a little bit awkward. I enjoyed it. I was eating my popcorn. Here's what it looked like.
Can you kind of walk us through how the team kind of approached you and explain what they're doing with you and Juice at left guard?
Whatever the team needs from me, I'm all for it.
Have you ever been a part of anything quite like that?
Anything the team needs, I'm all for it. I've always been that type of guy.
So with that, how do they tell you this is like the best way to approach it? What's the, I'm not that it's a sales pitch, but like what are they saying why this is the best?
Someone to do something, I do it. What else? I mean,
I'm saying, did they explain anything? Or like, no?
That's my job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not questioning why you're doing it. I'm asking, like, if they explain why they're deciding this is what's best.
That's my job. I don't understand the question. Sorry.
Does it make the job more difficult not being in there for the whole game?
I just care about anything I can do for the team. That's what I care about.
All right, there you go. So he's a good team guy. He goes from playing 20% to 0%. Before that, rotating to playing 55%. And I just want to ask this question. What do you want to see at guard? Because the Texans have this, and I think some of you people, I do mean you people, I think you can kind of relate to the feeling that you have sometimes when you watch this team function, where even when you get what you've been asking for a long time, you're almost frustrated that it took so long. What if they just go back? Like, I in my perfect world, you just go back to doing what you did the last 2 weeks before this. You put Juice Scruggs there. He's a flawed player. I'm not sitting here saying that Juice Scruggs is good, but you put Juice Scruggs at guard and you go about your business like you did whenever you were talking about how you were getting stuff going on offense. That's what you do. But then if they do that, and let's say that they look anything close to what they did the 2 weeks before the bye, while you want them to win and you'll be happy with the dub, won't it just kind of piss you off a little bit more that they just decided to randomly shuffle guards in between that after a bye week in one of the biggest games of the year? I don't think Juice Scruggs is good. I don't think Juice Scruggs is a really good guard. I think Juice Scruggs can hang around the NFL. I think Juice Scruggs tends to perhaps get better. I like the way he handled adversity in camp, but I don't think Juice Scruggs is good. But I do think that it looked better when he was the guard instead of rotating guards. And I just don't know how one benefits from rotating guards. I don't know. That doesn't seem like something that we see very often. It doesn't seem like something that there would be much payoff for. I don't understand what the purpose of that is. But that's what they did. So I guess I want to see them go back to the Juice Scruggs thing. I don't like the rotate guard thing, but I do think it'll add to the frustration. Don't get it. Don't get it. I was talking to some people today, and they brought it up, and I think Chase just brought it up in the chat. I'm not sure that center, and I know Jake Andrews is our guy. I enjoy Jake Andrews. I enjoy talking to him. I think he's a tough guy. I think he's probably a guy that can stay in the NFL. I'm not sure that he's better than Jared Patterson. But let's be serious. Jake Andrews is a former Patriot. He and Cole Popovich are tight. Nick Caley knows him. Do we really think that they're going to move on from that, given what we think about this organization? I find that hard to believe as well. But I do wonder if, we've talked a lot about guard, if there's a problem at center too.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm. Makes you think. Trucker Cam TX. For how much they say execute, you think they'd start doing that at some point? When will we start scoring against good teams? So tired of talk. Well, you've come to the wrong place if you're tired of talk. Maybe you're just tired of talk from them, but you've come to the wrong place. But I know what you mean. Yeah, it's their buzzword, man. And it is kind of an eye roll when you say, got to do better, execute. It is a pretty big ass whooping when you sit there and you hear that time after time after time after time. It is exhausting. I would agree with you on that. I don't know if they know what to do to execute. I just think they know that they need to execute, because obviously you need to execute. And I think that's just the word that they go with. But I don't know. I don't know if they're capable of it. I don't know what their game plan is when it comes to execution. I don't know that they know what their game plan is. I think sometimes game plan offense just means you're kind of chasing your tail. Don't really get it. Don't really understand it. We'll get into the matchups in a second. We'll also hear from Kaimi Fairbairn. We got some clarity on what the hell went down at the end of the game. But I asked DeMeco Ryans about his love for Robert Salah. And my God, the guy who is just, whenever there's actually like some stuff that you might want to know, he's very short, but you get him started on like one of his mentors or multiple mentors, DeMeco just lights up. Let's light up with DeMeco.
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
I don't think DeMeco's ever smoked before. Do y'all? Let's fathom that. Let's think about this. I want y'all to tell me in the chat, do you think DeMeco's ever smoked before in his life? I will say no. Well, let's see what he has to say about San Francisco. And he is high. Maybe not the type of high that I'm talking about.
And working with Salah was truly a blessing. Just from the standpoint of a young guy like myself coming in and coaching, you think you know a lot about playing ball, and you think you know a lot about coaching, but working with Robert, he truly showed me like what it takes to coach, and the detail, the fine details, the small things that it takes as a coach, how you have to be deliberate in your preparation, like how are you saying things to players, not just relaying a lot of information to them, but how are you truly teaching it? How do you understand each guy in your room? How do you teach it different? Some guys may need more walkthrough, or some guys you can tell them one time. Some guys need to write it down. So Robert Salah, he taught me all of that, of what it takes to be a good coach. And I'm so blessed and thankful to have learned under him, because he's such a meticulous, detailed person, not just in coaching, but just in life. And I've learned a lot from him, and I'm thankful for all the things that he's taught me, right? And it's the reason why I'm here right now, because he spent the time to teach me those things. And not just Robert Salah, him being a D coordinator, but I can't mention him without mentioning Johnny Holland, a linebacker coach there who allowed me to teach in the room. He gave me the leeway to to lead, and he taught me, allowed me to make mistakes along the way, allowed me to grow and develop under him. So I'm thankful for both of those guys, and then would be remiss not to mention Kyle Shanahan, right, for what he's done for me in my career. I remember sitting down in his office one day, and he told me, like, dude, you can be a head coach in this league, right? And I was kind of shocked by it because no one had ever said that to me before. But it just shows, like, Kyle is such a great person, love him and his wife. They're great friends of ours. They do it the right way. Ton of respect for Kyle and what he's done, what he's taught me throughout my career. I can't thank him enough, for that, and just believing in me. Right, when nobody else knew about me and coaching, Kyle was the guy who believed in me. And it just shows, like, man, you speak life into people. Like, your words mean a lot, and what he said to me, and to see it come true now, it means a lot to me. And just always, for me, that's what I'm always doing, just trying to speak life into people, speak life into others, be positive about attacking each and every day.
All right, there you go. So DeMeco has a lot of history with both of these coaches. The one he's going to be going against, his defense versus Shanahan's depleted offense, and Robert Salah, who's going to be coaching the other defense. He'll be going against CJ Stroud, who he had some success with, if you remember, 2 years ago when the Jets handed the Texans that L. So he's a big fan of what they bring. I don't know what he meant. What did he mean by Kyle and his wife do it right? Like their marriage, they do the right way. I didn't get that. I like coaches I get. He's like, yeah, he and his wife, they do it the right way. I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm a little bit chatty. DeMeco's definitely smoked, though. We all know that. Malik on the chat.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm. He says, low-key culprit, we didn't talk about it. Where is Cal now? The first year of Ryan's, they couldn't stop coming in the media, including Hannah. He gave Nick an extension for no reason. He acts like a man-child. Shows he was given everything. Yeah, I don't know where Cal and Hannah are. I think early on, they just went through the mud so much that I think they were just kind of enjoying the sauce a little bit that came with the excitement that people had, and they felt like they needed to be out and about a little bit more. I actually think their corniest appearance ever was the riding out in the convertible during the Christmas Day game when Beyonce was on stage. I thought that was weird. But I think in their perfect world, they probably don't want to be front and center. So this is probably what they want to do. And quite frankly, like, let's just be honest. I don't know that you want to hear Cal talk too much about the organization. So I think they're just kind of sitting in the background. It will be interesting, though. Like, if they ever have to make a big decision, which chances are you will, right? How they handle it and how it's done. But yeah, I don't know where they are. They're just kind of chilling, laying low a little bit. It's a interesting observation, but yeah, he definitely did his thing. So the Robert Salah success for CJ Stroud, I do wonder what that looks like, and I do wonder if the last time that CJ Stroud faced Robert Salah, you had Tank Dell out. This was the first injury. And then you had Nico Collins go down, I think, on the third or fourth play of the game. I was actually in New York for this one. And it was a really, really rough game. Now, the weather was crappy. We know about the playing surface. The playing surface is terrible. But it was one of the, I think, probably the most frustrated that I can remember Texans fans in a while with a loss, whether guys were out or not. So does Robert Salah, does he have like some sort of blueprint for Stroud, or is he going to follow the blueprint that's perhaps been laid out? Don't know. But I do think it's going to be an interesting matchup. And I do think Robert Salah is a really, really good defensive mind, as is DeMeco. So that's going to be an interesting thing to check out. And let's be honest, Robert Salah runs circles around Nick Caley when it comes to coaching his side of the ball. So is he going to run circles around Caley and Stroud? That's kind of one of the mismatches you got to be a little bit concerned about when it comes to this ball game. And then the other question is going to be, can shorthanded Shanahan get the best of DeMeco? San Francisco's offense has a lot of injuries. Are they going to be able to get the best of DeMeco's defense, which is coming off? I know they forced 4 takeaways, but they're coming off a relatively poor performance based on their standards. So that's another thing to keep an eye on when it comes to the matchups and what goes on and what doesn't. The other thing is, what are the Texans going to do when it comes to protection? Now, this was interesting. So CJ Stroud talked about the hot routes, which I think is a perfect way to combat a poor offensive line. This is what he had to say about the hot routes and executing those.
Some of the pressure could be alleviated with better operation execution of some of the hot routes, guys running the hot route, knowing when to throw the hot route. Do you kind of feel the same way?
Yes, and there's certain times where that is true, and then there's other times where, we got to just stay with the mic and things like that. So it's both areas.
It's pre-snap, post-snap. So DeMeco says that pre-snap's not an issue. CJ says that it's post-snap. We'll go back to what DeMeco said. We'll go in reverse order. So keep in mind, he's saying both. Here's DeMeco.
Just all elements of the protection, not just the O-line, but everything. How much of it is before the snap and making sure everything's right before the snap versus just executing once the ball is snapped?
When it comes to protection, right, it is an all-11 thing. Of course, it's pre-snap communication, but things change post-snap. That's what football is about. It's about how do you adapt and adjust when you have, as I call, moving pictures. Guys are going to move around. You're not just going to always line up and show the offense what you're running, per se, on defense. So the communication is set. Now you just have adjustments, and there may be communication before the snap, but it's just about adjusting, adapting fast, and making sure everybody's on the same page, and also making sure the quarterback receivers are on the same page as well. I know a lot where protection goes to the O-line, and that's what everybody who sees it is the O-line, but it's everybody. Like, if we have to get the ball out because we're hot, we got to get the ball out. We got to find our hot answers. If we have a hot route, we got to make sure we're running the route the right way. So it's all encompassing. It's easy to just say, oh, the O-line didn't pick this up, but everybody has to be on the details.
Okay, so it feels like he's really protecting the O-line. He's protecting the coaching. And he did tell us what football was about. So I always appreciate when DeMeco tells us, what football is about and that magical gray area. It's wise, man. It's like enlightening. You see the light when DeMeco tells you it's not just about this or that. It's always, I feel smarter when I hear that. I'm being trite. Obviously, I'm being trite. I'm being a smartass. It is what it is. But you know what? When you got great turf, you can be like that. And I got great turf because I went to Texans Turf. I shopped around. I was discouraged. I almost quit on my dream of having turf in my backyard because these guys are slime balls. They're trying to rip you off. They don't work hard. You look at the reviews; they're terrible. They're going to try to sell you the top thing. It's not customized. It's awful. It's hard to shop for turf. But I've already taken care of the difficult part. Because my 6th, 7th, 8th, whatever stop it was, I was brought to Texans Turf and the greatness of Dan the Man. And he is the man. And he made my backyard look great. It's always green. It's always clean. The drainage is perfect. I was a customer before he hopped on board the Locker Room Houston Football. And I will be a customer for life. No matter what, no matter where I live, Texans Turf is going to be my turf headquarters. It should be yours as well. Go to TexansTurf.com. Let them do for you what they did for me. I promise you, guarantee you, you will not regret it. Shout out to Dan and his squad. The greatness that is Texans Turf. I do love when DeMeco tells me what football is. I really do. A lot smarter. A hell of a lot smarter when DeMeco lets me know what football is. Not smart is the way that the Texans handled that game the other day. Wasn't smart. Kiami Fairbairn, we asked him about it, me and Stoots. Here was his explanation. I don't know if this is going to make you less or more mad. I actually think Kiami Fairbairn is getting unfair criticism when it comes to this. But here's what Kiami Fairbairn had to say in response to DeMeco Ryan saying that he didn't execute the game plan.
At the end of the game, DeMeco said you're supposed to keep it out of bounds, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, you know, I was disappointed about how that play ended up. The game plan was clear to me when I was told it was kick it a touchback or kick it out of bounds. So we couldn't give them opportunity to get the ball and waste time and save that 2 minute. You know, analyzing the kick, I was a little bit too aggressive in that situation than I should have been. I should have been a lot more conservative, and I also just mishit the kick. So, you know, I looked at that. I'm not going to make that mistake again, and I'll get it corrected.
Just to clarify, when you mentioned you were trying to be aggressive, what were you hoping to accomplish with the kick?
So, if the ball goes out of bounds, you know, I was aiming for the pylon, and you hit a touchback, it goes to the 35. You hit out of bounds, it goes to the 40-yard line. You know, in that situation, I was being aggressive, trying to hit a touchback and out of bounds, and I didn't. But in that situation, it's not worth the risk of that 5 yards. So, you know, next time I'm gonna make sure I get it out of bounds and make sure the clock doesn't get, you know, past the 2 minutes. So that's the correction for me, and I'll get it right next time. Yeah.
All right, there you go. I'll get it right next time. I mean, I don't know how many times you get in that situation, sir. There's a chance you play 15 more years, you don't get in that situation. It's almost like a golf thing where he's trying to hit it right by the cup instead of just laying up. And it's really kind of inexcusable, but this is why I'm going to defend Kiami Fairbairn on this. Even if, like, let's say he kicks it out of bounds. You're talking about 2:04, 2:05 left, one timeout, and the 2-minute warning. So you probably, like, let's say everything is perfect. You're gonna stop. The clock's gonna stop on 2-minute warning after the first play. Second play, you're gonna call timeout. So let's say it's like 1:54. Then the 35-second play clock. You're gonna get it back with like 1:13, 1:12, maybe. Michael Dixon's one of the best punters in the games, and he's going to be punting from, if you kick it out of bounds, the 40. So he's probably going to put you in your own end zone. So let's say you have 1:05 left with 80 yards to go. Do you really think this offense minutes before had scored their first touchdown? So you're gonna have to go. Let's just say he boots it out of the end zone. I would say Michael Dixon would probably do that. You're gonna have to go 80 yards. No timeouts in about a minute. Best case scenario, about a minute. Okay. Let's just be serious. Do you really think this team, without Nico Collins, even with Nico Collins, do you think they're going to go 80 yards against the Seattle Seahawks defense in 1 minute? Like, let's be serious. So, yes, it was stupid as hell. Yes, it shouldn't happen. Yes, it's inexcusable. I keep hearing people say, yeah, you had one job. You needed to do what you had to do. I don't disagree with that. But let's just be serious about the big picture and what really happened and what the real problem was. The real problem was that Nick Caley decided to run a stretch play when there was about 3 minutes left and 40 seconds go off the clock. Let me pull up the game. Let me pull up the game log just so that I'm accurate here when it comes to what actually went down with the whole situation and what we should really be pissed off about. Because Kiami Fairbairn the only reason Kiami Fairbairn was even in that position was because after it was very apparent that the Texans couldn't run the ball, Nick Caley decided to run a stretch play with, let me get the exact time. I don't want to just shoot from the hip on this because I'm trying to make a point. So if it's executed perfectly by Kiami Fairbairn, if it's executed perfectly, then we're talking about 1 minute to go 80 yards with no timeouts. Okay? One minute to go 80 yards with no timeouts. Let's pull up this game log. I'll share screen it. Hold on just a sec. Because we always pick on kickers and it's fine, but I mean it's you got one job. Okay. Well, let's say that he executes that perfectly. Let's say it's perfect. Again, repeating myself like Mike Jones. 1 minute to go. 1 minute to go, 80 yards. Okay, cool. Nobody's betting on that. Let's look at this touchdown drive. So you go right here, you get the incompletion, and then right here, there's 3 minutes left. This is when Blake Fisher got his penalty. You have, damn it. You have 3 minutes left and Blake Fisher gets his penalty. So when Blake Fisher gets his penalty, you back up a little bit more. It's almost it's almost hilarious because it's almost like Nick Caley didn't even change the play after the penalty when you really think about this. Like when you really look at this, it's almost like he didn't even change the play. Let me make this a little bit smaller. I promise we're getting somewhere here. So let's get the play-by-play. Let's go down to this drive. So before the Texans scored, Blake Fisher comes in. They're at the Seattle 4. They're at the Seattle 3. I'm assuming they were going to run the stretch play here. And Blake Fisher reports as eligible at 3:01. So there's a penalty. And then with 2:55 remaining, 2:55 remaining, they run a stretch play with Woody Marks right here. Stretch play with Woody Marks. They don't score the touchdown until 2:04. So they killed 51 seconds between plays. 51 seconds between plays because Nick Caley decided that from the 7-8 yard line that he was going to run a stretch play. So they killed 51 seconds. Now, let's say they decide to throw, and let's say Woody Marks scores that touchdown that he scored. Let's say he scores with like 245. Let's say he scores with 245 or 250, something like that. And you just never run that stretch play. Miami Fairbairn is then kicking off with like 245 or whatever, 250 left. You have one timeout and you have the 2-minute warning. At that point, you're probably calling the timeout after their first play. That's minus what, 5-6 seconds? So we'll say 2:39. Then there's a chance, and there might even be more than 2:39 depending on when they score. Then there's a chance that they actually have to run a play before the 2-minute warning. Now there's a chance they throw because the clock stops. So the defense kind of has to be on their toes. There's kind of that Sean Payton rule, but you never know. And then you have the 2-minute warning. So they should have never even been in that situation to where they're relying on their kicker, even if he executes, to be in 1 minute. They could have, if they just go for the end zone instead of running the stretch play, then there's a chance they get the ball back with 2 minutes left. And they could kick off normal, honestly. They could consider kicking off normal. And you're not giving them the ball at the 40. So maybe you're getting the ball at your 35 with like 150 or something like that. So, yeah, Fairbairn, that was dumb. That was stupid. I don't know what he's thinking about the 5 yards, but a stretch play that kills 51 seconds when you have one timeout and the 2-minute warning, like if God forbid they score with 2:55 and there's 2:50, you're getting the ball at the 2-minute warning. You're getting the ball at the 2-minute warning because you're calling timeouts. The play clock's going to go outside the 2-minute warning, and they're going to have to run their play on third down. Now they might throw, which might actually play into your favor. But Don't let them put the wool over your eyes and focus on Fairbairn and the poor execution. That's terrible. But it's terrible that you ran a stretch play that killed a minute when you need 2 scores and you only have 1 timeout. So let's not sit here. And I know DeMeco is going to defend Nick Caley no matter what. We know this. Nick. Don't let him do it at the sake of Kiami Fairbairn, because Kiami Fairbairn's bailed their ass out a number of times. It was dumb, but it wasn't like what cost you the game. It was your last source of frustration. The more unforgivable dumb shit was the Nick Caley thing, because like I said, the thing that Fairbairn was asked to do, it's a once every 5-year thing. Once every like that, there's a good chance that never happens again in his career. That's rare. And the risk reward, I mean, it's pretty high. Or it's pretty low. The reward is pretty low. So don't let them put the wool on their eyes under that. I'm actually going to ask Caley about that. I'm actually going to ask Caley. You know what? I'm going to go old school and write this down. I need to ask him about that. All right, so stretch play. And we got to ask these personnel things. So that's what we got to get. But the Fairbairn having to go up there and be accountable because he was put in a dumbass situation by Nick Caley. I would rather you throw 3 incompletions than run that dumbass stretch play. 3 incompletions and not even be put in the position. And not only that, Kiami Fairbairn's never been asked to do that before. This is a new set of rules. It's a new style of kickoff. He's never been asked to do that before. The situation that Nick Caley fucked up, that's a once every other game type of stuff. That's the same type of exercise that you need. So let's arrive at this. It was dumb of Fairbairn to do, but the shit that Nick Caley did was even dumber, and it gave them a real small chance of winning the game, whether Fairbairn kicked it or not. Period. So I'm not letting him off the hook for that. That was awful. Because and we can take it even a step further. Stretch plays are for good offensive lines. Those are long developing runs. That was so stupid. You can't even explain being that stupid. And also, if you look at the play, Titus Howard, my God. They had the guy blocked with the fullback. Titus Howard came off the guy that they were double teaming. But even then, you're running a stretch play. What am I doing? Pathetic. That was pathetic. So I've decided that when the sleeper yardage drops, I think last week we were gassing up JSN as the guy. I thought maybe that Stingley would be able to hang. For some reason, they weren't really pressing JSN. It didn't really go down, and JSN had his way with the Texans. I think this is a George Kittle game for the 49ers. I really do. I think between the linebackers the Texans have and Jalen Petrie, I think this is going to be a potential big game for George Kittle. Oh, by the way, he didn't have a lot of yards last game. So I don't know what his over-under on yardage is going to be, but I am anticipating a relatively big game for George Kittle. Plus, they don't have any receivers. All their receivers are hurt. I don't think Pearsall didn't practice today either. Ayuk's still out. I think Jennings is banged up too. So I'm anticipating a big George Kittle game. It'll be interesting to see them go toe-to-toe. I think San Francisco as a squad is somewhere between the 2 crappy teams they beat and the good teams that they've lost to. 0-4 against good-ish teams. I say the ish just because of Jacksonville. And then 2-0 against bad teams, Tennessee and the ghost that was the Baltimore Ravens. San Francisco's it's been an awesome coaching job from Kyle Shanahan getting to where he is right now. But I think we could be looking at a big game for George Kittle. I really do. They're gonna have to figure something out on that. It's gonna be tough. We'll keep an eye on it. Mac Jones, he's been doing a good job holding it down. Kind of a funny guy too. I didn't know he was as funny as he is. Will Anderson actually told a pretty entertaining story about Mac Jones. Let me pull up Will Anderson talking about that. We'll get out of here with a few laughs. A little too heavy with Nick Caley. Not really. That was some dumb shit. But here's Will Anderson talking about his encounter, and Will Anderson dropping some F-bombs. You might expect it from me every once in a while, but Will Anderson talking about Mac Jones. Here's what he had to say about his first encounter with the 49ers starting quarterback.
Me and Mac Jones got an interesting story. My freshman year at Alabama, early in the road, and they were going through the fourth quarter program, and this is when he was announced the starter QB. And we had a little rough showing at first. We were walking around after doing our break, and I don't even know, he's always bleeding during fourth quarter somehow. And he walks up to me randomly, and he was like, "Stars don't fucking matter here." And that was like the first interaction we had. And I was like, this guy's a fucking dick, man. But ever since then, like, we've been cool, and I'm excited for him, man. I can't wait for this matchup. Yeah, he always have his little corny jokes, and like he's a really good dude, man. I love Mac, man, and I enjoy playing with him.
All right. So there he goes, Will Anderson. And Mac Jones is pretty funny, man. He gets a lot of I don't know if y'all know this about Mac Jones, but he was actually a child model. I'm not kidding. This is some of the useless information that I come across in my internet endeavors, but yeah, Mac Jones was a child model. This is a true story. I think I talked about this last year when they faced the Jags. But look at that, Mac Jones right there. True story. That's him. True story. It's hilarious, but that's what that is. He's actually a pretty funny guy. This was one of my favorite interactions. I saw this last week. So he's been limping around at the end of every game. And someone called him out on it in San Francisco. And just listen to how goofy this dude is. He's funny.
It seems like by the end of these last two games, you've not been moving wonderfully.
Thank you. Do you want to race?
Good Lord. What a funny fella that Mac Jones is. So we'll see how he looks against the Texans. Again, George Kittle, I think the one to watch. We know about that other honky running back they got that DeMeco Ryans had a hell of a lot of things to say. So biggest takeaway from this, CJ Stroud confident as ever. The Iowa State guys, you feel okay about him, but do you trust the coaching staff to get the job done? And also Fairbairn, yeah, that was dumb. What Nick Caley did was 100 times dumber. So let's ease up on Fairbairn. It's easy to pick on the kicker. Nick Caley, what he did, 100 times more stupid. Just dumb. That was just awful. I did not approach this show thinking that this was going to be a what the hell was Nick Caley thinking show, but I'll be damned. That's just kind of the direction it goes. Sometimes it doesn't go that way. Shout out to Sleeper. Again, as soon as the receiving yards drop, we will put together a higher lower. But until then, just be sure to put some bread in that account. $20 free entry, no deposit needed. Get 100% match up to $100. Use a promo code LOCKER and keep using it as your scoring app because it is the best sports app in the game. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Man, this week's going by fast. Nick Caley tomorrow. We'll react to that SNL Live at 4.
Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do.